Now, in his book, he gave you his background, his upbringing, the decisions he took, the consequences of those decisions, and who he is today, despite all the travails. And that's enough to inspire anybody to want to be a good man and be the last person standing.
To the newest author in town, happy 60th birthday, Dad. I just wanted to convey my thoughts, my wishes for you on this monumental day, the day you launch your book from my corner and gift us with the culmination of your life story till now.
My name is Newton Jubuno. I met Clem about 3 decades ago through a family friend who is more like a son to me. Came to me at that time and told me that there was this gentleman, young man, that wanted to meet with me. My first reaction was that maybe he wanted to know something about my expeditions, because at that time I just completed my second expedition driving from Nigeria back to London. So I prepared myself. I prepared a number of stories that I was going to share with Clem, but that was not to be, because it wasn't what he came to me for. He came to me to discuss the kind of leadership deficits that we had in Anioma, and particularly as it concerns power shifts. I can tell you he's turning out to be one of the closest allies that I have, and somebody I can share quite a lot of things with.
My name is Larry Osai. People call me Larry. The name is actually Lawrence, but people call me Larry Osai. And my relationship with Chief Ofuani is that we are friends, almost like brothers. And then I met him in the field of politics, and he and I sort of interact politically.
My name is Mrs. Ngozi Folarunsho. Clement and I were colleagues at the Center Point Merchant Bank Limited, Lagos, and we're very good family friends. I met him for the first time when he came for a job interview in the Department of Financial Control and Planning under my headship. And he showed himself as a very intelligent person, very, very articulate, neat. And I didn't need to invite more people for the same position. And so he got the job, approved by the managing director.
I am Dr. Simon Iberosi, also known as Sam Rose back in our school days, but now fondly called McBee. I am an electrical engineer by profession, and my occupation is Principal Network Design Engineering Manager at AT&T Incorporated, Atlanta, Georgia, in United States of America. I earned my doctorate in energy management and sustainability. Chief Clement Ofuani, fondly known as Odua, and I have known each other for over 40 years now. We were classmates at Federal Government College Enugu, where we graduated in 1981. The cool thing, from the beginning, we were both placed in the same class of 1C, and we were also in the same house. So we shared adventures. You would say we chased rats and lizards together.
My name is Dr. Jude Igwemezie. I'm a professional engineer in the province of Ontario, Canada, with specialization in rail transportation and power. Hi, Chief Odua Clement Ofuani and I attended Federal Government College Enugu in the 1970s.
My name is Mrs. Idahosa. I am the Chief Operating Officer for EasyPay. And Chief Ofuani is one of the directors on the board of EasyPay. Very highly esteemed director.
My name is Omife Benjamin. I'm the elder brother to Clement, Ofuani's wife.
My name is Paul Mabiankem. I'm also known as Daddy Paul. God gave me triplets, but Clement calls me Palomo. I hail from the Mabiankem family, Nobojo quarters of Bulokiti. I'm really excited and glad to speak to the autobiography of my childhood friend, Chief Clement to the name Ofuani.
And I have found out that anytime I'm engaging with Clem on any issue, he would want to be at the top of the situation. And it's a compliment in a way, and I hope he will take it as such, because he does his research very well, and his presentations are usually out of this world. So I'm used to preparing myself anytime I want to engage him in anything, to learn to give up whenever he comes up with very superior arguments.
We never forgot our school. There were two major primary schools those days in our town of Bulokiti. One meant for the Catholic, St. James, the other one for the Anglican, St. Paul's. Of course, I'm of the Anglican communion, while Clem is Catholic faithful. One thing that was good, and I need to say it here, our primary school, St. Paul's, was very close to the house of Clem. But because they were the Catholic faith, they would pass there and walk about almost 2 kilometers to attend primary school. That was the way it was those days. Then in his class, he held forth, a naturally bright student, and the teachers would always use him to senior classes to teach them and maybe shame those seniors who were blockheaded. In fact, I had that experience too, where I was taken to senior class to spare writing for them. We passed our WAEC exams, and Clem moved on immediately to University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where he studied accountancy.
I always knew that your upbringing and early influences were characterized by the values and teachings instilled in you by your family and the community around you. I knew that you were raised in a home that emphasized the importance of education, faith, and moral values, and that these influences played a significant role in shaping your resilience and determination.
Odua is a remarkable guy, incredibly determined and committed to success and serving others. He is one guy one can quote, disagree with, glorify, or even vilify. But the only thing one cannot do is ignore him, because he is a change maker.
By the time we were due to enter secondary school, we chose the same secondary school, St. Pius Grammar School on Chubo, one of the best schools around. And we passed excellently well by merit. We were admitted. But shortly before we resumed, Clem also passed Federal Government College in Enugu. There he went.
I came to the realization that his Christian upbringing and good family background prepared him for everything, every challenge in life. There is one particular incident that happened on a particular Friday after the close of work. He walked into my office and he was looking sad, and I asked what it was. He didn't say. And then I just asked him, have you got another job? He hesitated a bit and said yes. I said, let me see the letter. He showed me, and the compensation package was such that even another 3 years in our own bank, he wasn't going to get there. So I said, you accept it. It would be selfish of me to say no, because I want you to stay with me here. That's the type of person he is. Very loyal to the core.
In terms of challenges and how he overcame them all through his life, I believe that God has been so faithful to him by virtue of natural intelligence he has. He has never been a failure. And in the academic arena, it was smooth sailing to the university. And even in his work life, he was so loved. And the companies that he worked, particularly in Central Merchant Bank, where his boss, a notable woman, Mrs. Folorunshaw Ngozi, took him as a son in those days when he entered the bank. He enjoyed that bank as a family. His work and whatever it was promoted him before he moved on to Defcon Merchant Bank. I remember one time he confessed to me that even though I've moved to Defcon Merchant Bank, I've lost the family. That was a confession he made to me that time because of the love they have for him at Centerpoint Merchant Bank.
Over the past 15 years or so, I've come to recognize that Chief Clement is deeply intellectual. He's a consummate professional with high moral standards and high ethical standards. Like myself, he's a self-made man who is very targeted and highly focused in his endeavors. Although he has a great sense of humor, he does not waste time on frivolities, but rather tackles problems and issues head-on. Chief Clement is also very sensitive and diplomatic when dealing with people, and this is a very, very wonderful human attribute. He's very community-minded, and when he finds a project that will enhance his environment and his community, he goes after that project like a dog after a bone. He's a deep thinker with a deeper sense of our history than anyone else that I know.
Well, to describe Clement, I will first of all describe two classes of politicians in Nigeria. Those I call professional politicians, those who have no other means of livelihood apart from politics, and therefore I call them do-or-die politicians. And then those who go into politics because they want to better the society, they have their own profession in their own right, and therefore are stepping into politics in order to sort of influence how the country is going to be bettered. I think, in my opinion, Clement belongs to the second class of politicians. A politician who has his own vocation, who has his own profession, who is not a do-or-die person, who is there to impact the society, and if the society in their majority think that he doesn't, that they don't elect him for an office, he goes back to his profession. He has something to fall back to. So he's not a do-or-die politician.
The time he came down to Delta State, he became a special assistant to the Commissioner for Finance, Chief David Edewe. And they worked together very well. David was also a very young man, brilliant accountant too, under His Excellency Chief Ibori government. It was natural for him to register his word at home. But by the time he came, they refused him. They were wondering, how come? You've never been in politics before. Where are you coming from? What do you want? What do you want to register? So Clement just left them and went back. And they were authorized from the headquarters in Asaba to register him. When they registered him, they had no choice than to file behind him because he became a leader. The foremost politician in town those days. And truly, many of them benefited from him.
And his life has impacted so many people. You know, he believes in teamwork. He believes that he believes in learning and relearning, and he is ready to help anybody. He is generous and forth. He is very kind. And the challenges, you know, he had wasn't too difficult for him, especially after he married his wife. Very supportive wife, very intelligent wife. And together, they've been weathering the storm very well.
I recall vividly when he came with his friend to seek my sister's hand in marriage. He was very direct and forthright. He didn't beat about the bush. And I began to wonder what kind of a guy is this, so straight, so simple in his approach.
Another experience I have with him is that in the area we come from, which is the Anosha South part of the state, we stand on a tripod. The Ogwashi, Obolo, and the Enueni on Sokwa clan groups. And Clement has always stood for equity, that each part of each leg of the tripod must have a say in how governance is administered in the area. He has always stood by that, despite whoever ox is God. Clement has never, ever believed in cheating anybody. He has always insisted on equity. And that has not fetched him any good name, but he does not care. He doesn't bat an eyelid about that.
One obvious advantage Clem had over us, those days in the primary school, was through his father. His father was the postmaster, and Clem was more or less his vendor, who distributed all the newspapers to the subscribers around the town. And anytime he was moving around, Clem would read the newspapers top to bottom. So he had ideas about world affairs at early stage, and that sharpened him the more.
What I failed to realize at the time was that you were systematically passing those same teachings and values onto me from when I was very little and could hardly recall, as you said, on my wedding day. You instilled in me a supreme self of confidence. You taught me that honesty is the best policy, that it is better to fail honorably than succeed dishonorably.
Clement and I, the first political struggle we went together was when he was trying to get the party's nomination to be the governor of the state. He gave his best. I know how he sort of tried to organize his campaign. We gave it the best shot we could. And at the end of the day, the party decided, or the people decided, that they wanted somebody else. That's our past governor, Dr. Kowa. The humility in Clement and his commitment to the betterment of the society made him consider an offer he was made to be the DG of the State Capital Development Territory.
He desired to rule Delta State, and he prepared to vie. But from my own calculation, I saw that Delta State politics being very complex, that it would not favor him. So, by the time they were prepared for the primaries in Port Harcourt, I called him. I said, Clem, I know you have tried, you brought out very beautiful manifesto, which I think is the best. And you might be the best candidate. But take note that the politics is complex. Even if he didn't win, no hard feelings, no bitterness. Join up with the winner.
Chief Clement Ofuani is a visionary who always wants to do transformative things. He believed that politics provided the pathway to make transformative impact, hence his forays into politics. When he did not succeed in his governorship run about 10 years ago and was appointed head of Delta State Capital Territory Development, he set about trying to lay a foundation for a commercial city and modern elevated monorail transport in Asaba. He commissioned a feasibility and market study for the project that showed the project viability. His vision was to make Asaba the bedroom community for nature that is already crowded, with a transportation system that could put people on the other side or on the opposite side of the River Niger in less than 20 minutes, along with industries lining the Asaba edge of the River Niger. These and other projects he championed was to try to cement for Delta State effective economic development.
By virtue of his position, he attracted amenities into Atanobulokiti, and it still does, joining hands with the Development Union. Anywhere he goes, he feels at home because of his own nature and networking that he has been doing.
The book documents his life history, his struggles, decisions he took, and the consequences, the outcomes of those decisions. Today, anybody who knows Clement still knows that he's still standing. He still is able to put food on his table despite the fact that he's out of government. And that is what he should be. I think that anybody who really wants to serve this country or this state must go there with a view to making an impact, with a view to sort of walking away if the atmosphere is too toxic, or if the atmosphere is not right for him to make the impact that he wants to make. For him, it's not a do or die affair, which is very, very important. Most politicians, 90% of our politicians are do or die politicians who are ready to cut any corner or to cut all corners to make sure that their own individual ambitions are achieved. I wish that these ambitions were actually things that will resonate with the transformation of our society. In most cases, they are not. But Clement would rather stay out of it than soil his fingers in the process. So that aspect of him is what I think should inspire people who are aspiring to be clean politicians. Well, clean politicians, people will say, are there any clean politicians? Yes, there are clean politicians, but comparatively, we are all human beings and we have our shortcomings. So when I say clean politician, I'm talking about somebody who would rather have good qualities as a rule rather than an exception.
And I encourage people to read the autobiography. You see what has brought him so far, what has taken him up to the highest height he is yet. And I tell people that even though he has written an autobiography, it's not a sign of old age or signing off on life. It's just the beginning. But for people to learn from his own experience over these years, both in the private and public sector.
Clement has proved himself. Politically, he has proved himself. Professionally, he has proved himself. Politically, we saw his meteoric rise from being a personal assistant to a commissioner to him becoming a commissioner himself. That takes a dint of hard work, recognition. And we saw the work he did even after his stint as a commissioner, when he became the DG of the Asaba Capital Authority. He also distinguished himself.
Transparency. I have found him to be very transparent, and I have found him to be very respectful. He never called me by my real name. He's always referring to me as Jogba, which is a title I enjoy very much. But one thing that is, I'm sure I'm not going to be the first person to talk about it, is that anytime I find myself in a function where Clement is to speak, I beg them to allow me speak before Clement. Because if he speaks before you, he will, without even discussing it, he has a way of capturing virtually everything that you may be having in mind to talk. So, and I have found myself a number of times in that situation where if I look at the program and I find that Clement claims to speak before me, I beg them to let me speak before him.
Anybody who has come across him will see the confidence in him, will see the Midas touch that he has. And our prayer for him is that he still has something to offer Nigeria. And I pray that God will create such opportunity so that he can indeed, pour out everything he has for this great country and our state, Delta State.
Oftentimes, he doesn't discuss his experiences in Aso Rock, but I think he will make mention of some of those things in this autobiography. The politics they played and how he came out from Aso Rock. Likewise, you could see the virtue of this loyalty that has been with him. He joined politics. He has not deviated from that structure, and he remains aligned with them. So Clement can be trusted, even further dealings in life. So I encourage people to have copies of this autobiography.
From my own experience, Clement has suffered a couple of disappointments from people that he trusted in politically, which is usual in the Nigerian political ecosystem. But Clement has never been bitter towards anybody about it. Clement says, I'm there to serve, and if the people don't want me to serve them, or if the system is rigged against me not to provide service, I go back to my profession, which for me is actually what every politician should do. Any politician whose worth is salt must have another source of income. And if politics does not play out this time around, please go back to your profession and come back when the people are ripe and people are ready to accept you. That's my view. And that's what Clement exemplifies.
Today, Odua is the president of our class of 81 Alumni Association, and I'm his vice president. Odua is a remarkable guy, incredibly determined.
Clement walks the talk. He walks the talk. He wears his heart on his sleeves, and whatever Clement says to you, you can go to bed. You can take it to the bank. Now, one very important aspect of Clement that I admire so much, when you go into a battle with him, he has your back. And there's no other attribute you want from somebody else, from anybody that you want to go into a battle with. You just want to be sure that at any one point in time, you can rely on him. I can rely on Clement. I can go to war with him because I know he has my back.
It's no surprise that he has penned his autobiography at this stage of life, titled My Corner. I have no doubt it will be a captivating read, full of school tales, philosophical musings, and keen attention to detail. I feel privileged to share this moment with Odua.
From my corner, I find very intriguing. because, as you may realize, I wrote the forward to that book. And for me to be able to write the forward, I needed to see the synopsis for the book, which was given to me well in advance. And in reading that book, I was in a way vindicated about Clem's personality, in the sense that I had always felt that Clem is most suited in the academic world. I would rather see him in the walls of a university or higher institution, because he has a lot to share, and you can get that from the book, especially with his generation before him, and generation after him.
Some time back, Chief Clement used to write editorial columns for a major Nigerian newspaper. He would send me copies of his editorials to read, and I must say, his writing style is quite fascinating. Talk to him today and he will probably pull out an article he wrote 15 or so years ago that predicted most of what is happening to Nigeria today. With his economic strain and deep sense of history, he could read the future from the past. That is what sets him apart from other writers. He's a great asset to Nigeria if they could only see beyond the blinders that currently cover our eyes.
His sharp memory and knack for recalling things have always amazed me, making him master of all subjects. So it's no surprise that he has penned his autobiography at this stage of life.
Well, while working with Chief Clement Ofuani on the monorail project for Asaba, he was working on this book. When he later showed me the first copy of the book, my first reaction was, wow. The size of the book took me back to my doctorate dissertation days in the mid-80s. One thing you can count on is that the book will be a must-have when it hits the shelves.
It's a book I'm going to recommend for virtually, almost all the institutions that I'm involved with, because there's so much one can, learn from the various corners that he has gone through in life.
Clement has incredible memory of our history. Having been in the corridors of power at the state and federal levels, he has tried to relay history as he saw and experienced it. In these unfortunate times when the nation has decided to feed non-history to her children, this book will be reference material.
My fervent prayer, because I have to qualify my prayer, my fervent prayer is that Delta State and Nigeria should one day give Clement the opportunity to demonstrate his commitment to the development of this country and sort of actualize his dreams for what the society should be. It's a very complex country to run. It's a very complex state to run because Delta State is a microcosm of Nigeria. But either at the state or the federal level, my prayer to God Almighty is that people like Clement himself, and people like him should be given an opportunity to play a role in the transformation of our society.
At this juncture, I must commend and congratulate Chief Clement Ofuani for having the courage and the patience to put together such a voluminous compendium of historical information that is textured by his life experiences and life story. Bravo, bro. Bravo.
It always pays to be polite. Godliness is next to cleanliness. And without realizing it, I feel that based on the comments I tend to get, I have tried to live my life in line with those values that you started teaching me from a very young age. And I cannot thank you enough for the person that I have become.
My prayer for him is that he continues to progress in life and continue being good to people, and that God should bless him with long life to see his children's children together with his wife, and that their children will be greater in life than he and his wife combined.
And our prayer for him is that he still has something to offer Nigeria. And I pray that God will create such opportunity so that he can indeed, pour out everything he has for this great country and our state, Delta State.
In my prayer today for Chief is that he will continue to excel, and God will create more opportunities for him to impact knowledge.
I feel privileged to share this moment with Odua and want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to him. As they say, a candle lit cannot be placed or covered in a bushel. Odua, keep shining, my friend. Best wishes, and God bless in this endeavor.
Either at the state or the federal level, my prayer to God Almighty is that people like Clement himself, and people like him should be given an opportunity to play a role in the transformation of our society.
My prayers for Chief Clement Ofuani are that he stays healthy by continuing to play golf, keep his stress level down, remain focused on trying to push through those projects, or the projects he knows will have huge economic multiplier effects, and for him to live through a very ripe old age. And of course, finally, I know that his book is going to be a bestseller, and I wish him all the best.
I pray for him that this is just the beginning. That God who has kept him all this while will continue to preserve him. Give him more life, that even at 90 years, he will revise this autobiography. It will be a bastion of experience and knowledge. A good example of leadership in our society.
So, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for choosing Mom as your lifelong partner. Thank you for playing an active part in my life and deepening the bond that we share with all our daily communications, texts, or videos or links that we share. Martinez and I wish you a most fabulous 60th birthday and a successful book launch.